Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. And today we're going to be doing a versus video between the Nike Freak 5 and the Nike Ja 1. So of course, this is Giannis Antetokounmpo signature shoe with Nike, and this is Ja Morant signature shoe with Nike, right? And the Ja 1 and the Zoom Freak 5 are freaking amazing performers. I absolutely love playing both of these shoes, and they're both very similar. You know, the cushioning setup is very similar, the overall feel of the upper, they're both minimal, they're both very responsive, lightweight. So which one is better, right? So as far as the pricing goes, the Zoom Freak 5 or the Freak 5 is going for 130 bucks. Depending on the colorway though, it goes up to 140 bucks. I don't know why Nike is doing that. They used to never do that. You know, every single colorway used to be the same exact price. But then like Chinese companies started doing that and giving us different pricing for different colorways. I guess the more sought after or more dope colorways or what they think are more dope colorways are more expensive, which is, and then Nike started doing that, you know. And then the Ja 1, same thing. The regular general release colorways are like 110 bucks, but some of the other colorways are 120 bucks. The Freak 5 is also on sale for like 110 bucks right now, which is weird. You know, this shoe kind of didn't just come out, but it hasn't been that long, you know what I mean? But anyways, it's on sale for 110 bucks, which is also it's the same exact price as the Ja 1, right? So if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave the free link in the description box, but let's get started right off with the Tracciones, and they're both top tier tractions, freaking amazing. If you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna have an amazing bite in both of the shoes. They both also have a very loud high-pitched squeak, which I do like. Super loud and very high-pitched. I don't know why, but Nike's been doing very well with their rubber compounds. Their outsole have been performing very well, right? So clean court is pretty much tied up. If you're playing on a dusty or dirtier court, then I would say the Ja 1 is a little bit better. It picks up a little bit less dust. The Zoom Freak 5 is still super nice though, right? But you're gonna have to wipe a little bit more here in the Freak 5, but once you do wipe, you're good to go and you have amazing stops again. So the Ja 1, I guess it takes the win by a little bit, but the Freak 5, like I said, is still good. And if you're playing on an outdoor court, I feel like both of them will be pretty good. I mean, I don't know. The Ja 1 feels like it's a little bit harder as far as the rubber goes, but the Freak 5 is still pretty hard, right? And there's a lot of grooves as well here in the Freak 5, so I feel like they'll both be pretty good. I would say the Ja 1 edges the Freak 5 out a little bit more, right? So there is the traction there. The Ja 1 is a little bit better, you know, if I'm nitpicking, because this is a versus video, but the Freak 5 is still top tier. It's still absolutely amazing, right? So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, they're both pretty similar, right? So here in the Ja 1, we have, it's a little bit more of an edged out shape, but the heel compression is still super soft, right? So it's very smooth here in the heel still. Nice curve shape in the forefoot. Same thing here in the Zoom Freak 5, but the heel cushion is a little bit softer, right? And then we have a nice curve shape, and we have a lot of forefoot flex in the Freak 5 and also the Ja 1, right? They're both very similar in feel because of that. I'll say the Ja 1, if I'm nitpicking, is a little bit stiffer. It feels a little bit stiffer, and they both have good torsional support, it feels like. So heel to toe transition, when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court, they're both pretty damn smooth, and they both feel very similar, right? And now moving on to the cushioning setup, very similar as well. We have a zoom unit here in the forefoot. They're both top loaded, I believe, but yeah, they both feel bouncy. They both have nice compression in the forefoot, and it's just like it feels like your regular kind of like half circle shaped zoom unit, right? And then here in the heel, they both have, it says soft foam in tech specs for both of the shoes. However, the Zoom Freak 5 has a little bit more bounce to it, right? It has a nice compression. It's still soft, but also a nice rebound back, which feels super duper nice. The Ja 1 just feels a little bit more soft, and it just feels like it has compression, but it doesn't bounce back as much as the Freak 5. So I guess I like that about the Freak 5 a little bit more, but they're both very similar in feel for the cushioning setup. As far as the court feel goes, the Freak 5 actually feels slightly lower to the ground, very slightly. I mean, it's very hard to notice, right? But because this is a comparison video, yeah, like I felt that the Ja 1 was a little bit higher up off the ground, especially here in the heel, but super duper similar. So yeah, everything about the cushioning setup is very similar, right? Besides the heel. So there's the cushioning setup there, and I guess I do like the Freak 5 cushion just a tiny bit better. I guess that does justify the price a little bit, but $20 just for like springier foam in the heel, I don't know. I guess it depends on if that's worth it to you. And now moving on to the upper, right? So we have a very crappy synthetic leather material for the Freak 5. I mean, but it feels really nice on foot though, right? It's relatively thin, right? And also with this textile, it's very, very thin. And we have the synthetic leather overlay here in the toe box, but it's supportive. It feels pretty cozy because of like, there's a little bit of foam to it, right? And then here in the jaw one, we have like it reminds you a little bit more of like a ballistic mesh, right? And it feels a little bit thinner here in the toe box, but still just as supportive. And it is glued down, so it does feel supportive, but also it doesn't feel like super flimsy. It doesn't feel super, I mean, it does feel cheap, but not like terribly cheap, you know? So that feels nice as well. And then here on the sides for the jaw one, we have this kind of like wing with the synthetic material, which does add for a little bit more support. Same thing here in the Zoom Freak 5, but it's kind of like these eyelets that go underneath the upper. So that's very similar as well, right? And then for the tongue, I would say the jaw one has a slightly more padding. Just a tiny bit more, but the Zoom Freak 5 is still nice. And then here in the ankle area, I would say the jaw one is a little bit more padded, right? Especially on the sides of the shoe. The Zoom Freak 5 is, like, I would say there's still pretty nice padding. It's more like average, but the jaw one feels a little bit more cozy here in the heel. So it's a pretty similar feel, because overall it's a very minimal upper, right? It also feels supportive and all that, but it's just there's just subtle differences, right? So the Zoom Freak 5 feels a little bit more cozy here in the toe box, but then the jaw one feels a little bit more cozy here in the ankle area. So it all depends on what you like. I mean, they're both very nice for me, so I would pretty much tie it up. It all depends on what you like to feel for your upper, but for me, the upper isn't as important, right? Traction and cushion and fit is a lot more important than how the upper, like what the composition of the upper is. So anyways, there's the upper there. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size for the jaw one, and I went up half a size for the Zoom Freak 5, right? And they both fit me very, very well, but I would say the jaw one is a little bit more snug because I did go true to size. The Freak 5, I feel like if I did go true to size, it'd be super duper snug, right? So here in the toe box, I would say the jaw one is a little bit more snug, but like I said, I did go true to size for this. And then also width-wise, they are slightly narrow, right? And length-wise, I would say, I mean, if you do go true to size for the Freak 5, it's probably gonna be a very, very snug fit length-wise, right? But if you want a little bit more relaxed fit, but still want a very snug fit, then go up half a size for the Freak 5. And same thing with the jaw one, right? But they're both very snug fits, right? So if you don't like that super snug fit, especially here in the jaw one, definitely go up half a size for both of the shoes. And I definitely feel like if I did go up half a size for the jaw one, it will be very similar to the Freak 5 as far as the fit goes. So yeah, the fit is also super duper similar, right? And also, as you guys can see, the heel is very similar in shape as well. They're both low tops. And now moving on to the support and lockdown, they're both very, very good. If you want a little bit more support, then obviously the jaw one feels a little bit more supportive, right? It just, I don't know, this upper feels more glued down and a little bit more rigid than the Zoom Freak 5, right? It doesn't really move over on itself that much. The Zoom Freak 5 is still super supportive, but it moves over on itself a little bit more. I don't know if you guys can see it. I can definitely feel it though, you know? So like I said, you know, the Zoom Freak 5 is still good for support, especially lateral containment, but if you want a little bit more support, then go with the jaw one, right? But they're both good for me. And as far as the lateral stability goes, they're also good. However, it looks like the Zoom Freak 5 is a little bit wider. Look at that. You know, the outsole and midsole do protrude out a little bit more here in the forefoot. However, the heel is very similar in width, right? It's not like I had any problems with the jaw one with lateral instability. However, the Zoom Freak 5 does seem to be a little bit wider, right? And also, I didn't really have any issues with lockdown. I didn't have any issues with heel slippage. My foot felt locked into the shoe when I tied up the shoe in both of them, right? So support and lockdown, they're both really, really good, but the jaw one is just a tiny bit better because the upper feels a little bit more rigid, right? And now moving on to the weight of the shoe, I feel like the jaw one is gonna be a little bit lighter, right? So 11.5 ounces, super duper light for the jaw one. Zoom Freak 5 is 11.45, so pretty much the exact same weight. Huh. Okay. But like I said, the jaw one is half a size smaller for these, right? I did go up half a size for the Zoom Freak 5, so I guess maybe the Zoom Freak 5 will be a little bit lighter if I did go true to size, but they're both very, very lightweight. They're both super responsive. They both feel minimal for the upper. So yeah, when you're playing in both of these shoes, you feel super duper quick, right? The traction is really good. It's top tier traction. You have good bounce from the forefoot zoom unit, but also responsiveness and court feel from the cushion. The upper is minimal and all that. So yeah, there's a weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics. I don't know. They both look really dope. I love the Freak 5. I love the jaw one. As far as the colorways go, I feel like the Jaw 1 colorways are a little bit better. So maybe I would edge it out a little bit to the Jaw 1s. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, they're both very similar shoes, right? And they're both top tier. I love how both of these shoes feel, and they're more like responsive guard-like shoes, right? But if you want the overall better cushion, right, then go with the Zoom Freak 5, right, with the springier heel. But if you want a little bit more support, right, then go with the Jaw 1 because the upper is a little bit more rigid. And that's pretty much it. That's like the main differences. You know, the fit is very similar. The traction, I guess the Jaw 1 is a tiny bit better, but the Freak 5 is still really good. So pretty much tie it up for the traction. Cushion, Freak 5 is a tiny bit better. Upper, very similar in feel, but it feels a little bit different. And then the fit's very similar. Supporting lockdown is very similar as well, but the Jaw 1 is a little bit more supportive, right? So it all depends on obviously what you want in a basketball shoe and what you prioritize. But for me personally, I would say I like the Freak 5 a little bit better because I like the springier heel foam, right? But the Jaw 1 is still super nice, and obviously if you're trying to save money, then go with the Jaw 1. But like I said, the Freak 5 is still on sale for 110 bucks. So right now it's pretty much the same exact pricing, right? So I guess I'll conclude with they're both amazing performers and they both feel very similar. It all depends on what you want, right? But anyways, that about concludes this versus video. Again, if you guys do want to cop either of these shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.